Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Autumn Lloyd, and I am the president of the Kappa Nu chapter of Phi Theta Kappa at the College of Central Florida. Due to the extenuating circumstances this year's presented, we have decided to celebrate this fall induction in a virtual setting. It is important for us to maintain a sense of community during this time, so we encourage you to take pictures or videos to document your induction as you participate throughout the evening, to share with your friends, family, and your Phi Theta Kappa community. Now, I would like everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you for coming to our fall 2020 induction ceremony. Please join me in welcoming our college president, Dr. Jim Henningston.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Henningston, president of the College of Central Florida, and it's my great honor to welcome you to our Phi Theta Kappa induction ceremony this evening. First, I'd like to say congratulations to all of our students who've achieved this membership in a very prestigious Phi Theta Kappa organization. Your achievements talk about your success and all the qualities each of you have and what you've been able to achieve. So congratulations, students. I'd also like to thank the family and friends, the support team for our students who've helped bring them here tonight. Thank you for all your support for our students. And also a big thank you to our faculty and staff, our advisors, Dr. Alan Danoff, who's our advisor of Phi Theta Kappa, and our whole team here at the College of Central Florida who is focused on your success. It's going to be a great evening. We've got a great speaker in Dr. Charles Mcintosh who's going to be here tonight, and we are going to have a great program for you. So again, congratulations, students. Very excited that you're participating in this digital, virtual way for our induction ceremony. So again, congratulations and thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Henningston. The theme for our honor study topic is to the seventh generation, inheritance, and legacy, and this will be the focus of our speaker this evening. Our guest speaker is Dr. Charles Mcintosh. Dr. Mcintosh was born in New York, his parents being migrant workers who traveled for employment. He was raised in Putnam County, Florida, relocating to Marion County in 2005, where he then married his lovely wife, Aisha, in 2006. In his words, "It has been my life's work to simply help others." At the College of Central Florida, Dr. Mcintosh earned his AA in criminal justice and his BAS in business and organizational management, specializing in public safety administration. Following his graduation from CF, Dr. Mcintosh continued his education, earning his master's in criminal justice at the University of Central Florida, and finally, his Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Management at Capella University. Dr. Mcintosh currently works as the Dean of Criminal Justice and Public Service at the College of Central Florida, also serving as a reserve deputy with the Marion County Sheriff's Department. He has worked many years in the prison system with over 23 years of law enforcement and corrections experience. Dr. Mcintosh is affiliated with the Criminal Justice Standards and Training Commission as a governor-appointed commissioner and serves as chairman for the Florida Criminal Justice Educators Association. Dr. Mcintosh also sits on the board of United Way of Marion County, Leadership Ocala Marion, and the Marion County Board of County Commissioners Board of Adjustments. Please help me welcome Dr. Mcintosh.
Good evening. It is my honor to stand before you tonight. I would like to thank you all for having me. It adds to the honor that I was also a member of Phi Theta Kappa right here at CF. I, too, am a product of Dr. Alan Danoff. He has inspired many CF students to go on and do great things. I promised Dr. Danoff that I would not speak for 2 hours as I had originally planned. It is my goal to simply give you something to think about as you leave. I was given the topic, to the seventh generation, inheritance, and legacy. Like every other man on the planet, I immediately went to Google search to find out exactly what that meant. The first result returned a photo of some laundry detergent, and I am quite certain that I wasn't asked to speak about washing clothes. I then discovered that the seventh generation principle was very important to Native Americans. It is believed that all Native American tribes across the world embrace this teaching. So what exactly is the 7th generation principle? In its original meaning, this principle advises us to make every decision with the future 7 generations in mind. Many tribes around the world still live by the same philosophy. In modern day society, this principle has taken on a slightly different meaning. It applies to the decisions about the energy we use, water, natural resources, and ensuring those decisions are sustainable for the next 7 generations. Let's take a minute to think about the energy that we use. Look around the room right now. How many lights or devices that aren't being used that we can simply unplug or turn off? This is important as we continue to find greener ways to bring energy into our homes and keep everything affordable. What about water? How many times have you drank a half bottle of water and discarded both the water and the plastic container in the trash, never to be thought about again? Sure, we may not see a shortage of anything in our lifetime, but what about those generations to come? Someday we may want children, grandchildren. Let's think about leaving them a world that's in a better place than how we found it. Those examples are just a couple of things that we routinely take advantage of. We're generally not concerned about things like that until they become an inconvenience for us. Nobody likes it when they wake up in the morning and there's no electricity. We don't have the power we need to get ready for work, all because the tree fell on the power line the night before. Do you remember how frustrating it was trying to find water as a hurricane was approaching our area? We had no idea how long we would be without simple necessities such as water and fuel. Let's start to consider that when we think about throwing away that half bottle of water, that plastic container, or when we sit in our driveway in that huge SUV and let it run for half an hour because we're talking on the phone or listening to our favorite radio station. All while we're sitting in the driveway, the house is a few feet away, cooling down the house with nobody in it. The last thing I wanted to mention about the 7th generation principle is how it can be applied to relationships. Most of you are at the age that you're about to embark upon society and make an impact. Let's make sure that you are treating those you encounter with the same dignity and respect that you would want for yourself. Whether it's a simple hello or just a wave, you have just established a relationship with a stranger. This is equally important as it pertains to family relationships. I would venture to say that 99% of you are being inducted tonight because someone in your family believed in and pushed you to a better version of yourself. Just imagine if every family did that for every other family member for the next 7 generations. We will reimagine what success means in our society. The relationship part of this principle comes at a time when our society could really use it. In the beginning, I promised you that I would give you something to think about. What will you leave for the next 7 generations? What will your legacy be? When this program is concluded, I would like for you to think about what you can change right now that will change the course for the next 7 generations. Again, my name is Charles Mcintosh, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Mcintosh. Our next speaker is Dr. Lynn Tincher-Ladner. Dr. Tincher-Ladner is President and CEO of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, the nation's oldest and largest honor society for students seeking associate degrees and credentials from community colleges. Most of Lynn's time is spent creating opportunities for some of the nation's hardest working students by connecting them to life-changing scholarships and family-sustaining employment. With nearly 30 years in higher education, she has been a community college math, chemistry, and physics instructor, computer programmer, database administrator, institutional researcher, and university faculty member. She serves on national boards for the College Promise Campaign, the Center for Community College Student Engagement, the American Association of Community Colleges Commission on Student Success, and the advisory board of the Woodward-Hines Education Foundation. As a passionate champion for community colleges and community college students, she loves using data to tell their stories and to advocate for the support of these amazing students and quality institutions of higher learning. You can follow Lynn on Twitter at Tincher-Ladner. Welcome, Dr. Lynn Tincher-Ladner.
Our lives will forever be divided into 2 parts: how we viewed the world before the COVID-19 pandemic and how we view it now. And crisis impacts us in so many ways, and not just how we see the world, but our belief systems, our expectations, our fears, and our hopes. And depending on when you were born, you may remember the assassination of John F. Kennedy, or the Apollo moon landing, or 9/11, or the first Google search, or the Columbine or Sandy Hook school shootings. These events impact and unify the people who are living at the time, or generations. Generations are simply groups of people born and experiencing life at about the same time. But like people, generations form their own identities and have certain characteristics. But before I talk about generations, it's important to note that everyone watching today is first an individual and then a member of groups. And we find wonderful diversity between and across groups. And just like you are, I'm a product of my own generation. The America of my childhood had a growing middle class, well-defined gender roles, and polite politics. World hunger and AIDS were the most pressing issues of our time, and Coke versus Pepsi was the only war that I knew. But Michael Jackson was the king of pop, and the Atari video gaming system was invented. And although social media had not existed yet, the children in my neighborhood, we found ways to communicate without talking. We used cassette players and we would record messages, and we would hop on our bikes and we would ride and throw the cassette tapes into the front lawns of our friends. And we would receive a message back within hours in response to our own. This was the social media of the late 1970s. And for a time, we were limited to rotary phones and 8-track tapes, but eventually computers burst onto the scene, and the world became much smaller as our access to each other and information began to change. And I specifically mention technology because I believe it to be a key driver of our behaviors and our attitudes and how we live and communicate. What I believe is the secret science of how generations were decided. My children, Lauren and Lucas, have never known a life without a cell phone. Once, when they were still young enough to be in car seats, my mother called when we were driving home one day. Lauren was talking to Grandma, and she handed the phone to her younger brother, and he began pushing the buttons and accidentally disconnected the call. And Lauren yelled out, "Mom, Lucas is logging Grandma off." But even this year, as Phi Theta Kappa turns 102, we could not experience Catalyst in this way or at all without the technologies that we have. The children of today, they've inherited a much different place than the America of my childhood. A place where active shooter drills are normal, a place with less defined political and religious institutions, and a shrinking middle class. But the technology is fast, the gender is fluid, and HIV is no longer a death sentence. But while we have become more tolerant of the differences in each other, we have also become a society that is more polarized than ever before. There is a greater diversity in our schools, in our churches, in our neighborhoods, in the workplace. And when we talk about diversity, we often talk about race and gender, but generational diversity is just as important to understand. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a little bit of what I've learned about generations and how they function in the workplace and why it matters to you. Baby boomers were born between 1947 and 1965, and they're currently the oldest generation you'll find in the workplace. They're between 55 and 73 years old, and there are almost 72 million baby boomers. Half are retired and the other half are working. Boomers were born in the post-war economic boom, but their parents lived through the Great Depression. Work ethic was a matter of life and death. The boomers working at Ptk are some of our most dependable workers. Generation X, they were born between 1966 and 1981. They are currently between 39 and 54 years of age, and there are just over 65 million Gen X people in the world. At work, they are independent, they hate to be micromanaged, but they were the first ones to think about the work-life balance and often request flexible work schedules. They get their work done, but they do not want to miss the soccer games and the school plays like their parents did. Gen Y, or nicknamed the Millennials, were born between 1982 and 1994. They're currently between 26 and 38 years old, almost 60 million millennials. They are confident and ambitious and achievement-oriented and highly adaptable. But millennials seek job fulfillment over pay. And they want a work-life balance, but they want it tailored to the needs of the individual worker, up to and including working from home. Generation Z was born between 1995 and 2009. They are currently between 11 and 25 years of age. just over 65 million in the U.S. and on track to be the most diverse and most educated generation of our time. Gen Z are the first to not know a world without cell phones and high-speed internet. My children are both Gen Z, and their response to the world is to take action. When Michelle Obama worked to make school lunches healthier, the extra-large tasty roll was removed from my daughter's lunch. She started a petition to get her roll back. She was 10. In my generation, A stood for Apple, and my daughter's A is activist. Generation Alpha is the next generation. Born in 2010 to present day, the Alpha generation are the babies and toddlers of the millennials, and there's almost 44 million and counting in the United States. They are said to be the first generation that will not learn to drive, and technologies like automation and other nanotechnologies will define their behaviors. So why does any of this matter? Studies have shown that diverse teams outperform non-diverse teams. The reason? Diverse experiences and backgrounds allow new ideas to develop. And an interesting fact about community college is that you'll find the first 4 generations that I described going to school there, and the same number of generations you will find in the workplace and in roughly the same proportions. The same cannot be said about a large number of 4-year colleges. This means that your decision to attend community college is preparing you for life and work in ways that you may not have expected. The diversity of community colleges is just another benefit of your choice to be there. And you're not the only ones benefiting. As institutions, community colleges are much stronger because of the diversity that you bring to the classroom and the campuses. We are fortunate that community colleges are home to the most diverse group of students in higher education. And at Phi Theta Kappa, we are even more diverse. And it is not just the color of your skin. It is part of our work that you share your cultural differences that arise out of age, gender, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, and yes, even your religious and your political beliefs. And when I look back over our year, I see strong evidence of this. We are working together to connect communities to colleges and careers by helping underserved populations fill out the FAFSA. We are creating informed communities by transforming the stigma of mental health issues and helping others take charge of their own mental health. We are helping college leaders by researching the extent of the opioid crisis on our campuses and in our communities. And it is not just our humanitarian efforts. Our chapters are researching the impact of microplastics on the environment and our declining bee population. Our programs like College Project and Honors in Action, by design, have you working in diverse teams in order to get things done. In the workplace, you will be surrounded by people who do not look like you, talk like you, or think like you. Your community college experience and involvement in PTK is giving you an edge by allowing you to work in diverse groups and to solve complex problems that impact your community and your world. And so there is one more generation that I want to describe to you today, the Ptk Generation. And although you were not born within a single specific time frame, you represent the best of all of them, from boomer to millennial. And it's because you work together and learn from one another. And instead of surrounding yourselves with people just like you, you choose to study and lead and serve and fellowship with this community of scholars and leaders. The result, you are benefiting from being a member of this amazing and diverse organization. You are dependable and hardworking and conscientious just like the boomers. You seek balance and value your quality of life like Gen X. You are ambitious and confident and curious and achievement-oriented like the millennials, and you take action on the issues that you care about like Gen Z. Combined, these qualities make you strong individually and collectively. You are the Ptk Generation, and I cannot wait to watch you change the world.
Thank you, Dr. Mcintosh, for those inspiring words of wisdom. And a special thank you to Dr. Tim Ladner, our CEO of Phi Theta Kappa. Now, honored president, advisors, family members, and guests, I am pleased to present to you these candidates for membership in Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society. These students have fulfilled all requirements for membership and have been selected because they have chosen scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship as their hallmarks. I recommend them for acceptance into the Kappa Nu chapter of Phi Theta Kappa's International Honor Society. And now, our Vice President of the Ocala campus, Brian Hollowell, will speak to attendees about this special event.
You are about to be inducted into a scholarly fellowship program which embraces colleges not only in Florida, but in the nation and in the world. This fellowship is Phi Theta Kappa, and your chapter is Kappa Nu. After induction, you will find among the members an atmosphere of scholarship to which you must give yourself in order for the organization to be meaningful to you. And now, our Vice President of the Centris campus, Daniel Goodman, will talk about the symbolic torch.
I have in my hand a torch, symbolic of knowledge, which is the servant of wisdom, which dwells with prudence and leads in the way of righteousness in the midst of the path of judgment. And now our Director of Archives, Kelsey Meekins, will talk about the symbolic rules.
I hold a white rose to illustrate the purity and beauty of life. The white buds signify intellectual associations and newly formed intellectual friendships.
This is the emblem of Phi Theta Kappa. It consists of a golden slab, keyed at the top and bottom. The golden field refers to the golden opportunities that abound on every hand for members to evidence their culture and perform good works. Across the slab, you'll observe a black band. It represents the three ideals which bind us together, and the cultural self-control, which is a necessary foundation for true wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Behind the band is a wreath, on one side composed of oak leaves, and on the other, laurel. The oak leaves stand for stability and strength of character, symbolized by the sturdy oak. The graceful curling of the laurel signifies achievement and success, all attributes for membership in our society.
Now that the standards and ideals of this organization have been revealed to you, we ask the new members to rise and repeat after me the pledge that admits you into the society. I will ask you to state your name. Please do so when prompted. I state your name. Do solemnly promise on the 28th of October, 2020, to uphold the standards of Phi Theta Kappa, and to keep this object and aim in mind. And I do solemnly pledge allegiance to my fellow members, and promise to aid them in all worthy endeavors. Members, earlier this week you received the symbols of your accomplishments, including your scroll and induction medal. Now we will take a few minutes to acknowledge each of our inductees, followed by a word from Associate Vice President of Arts and Sciences and Ptk Advisor, Dr. Alan Daniff. Congratulations to you all.
It is my pleasure to welcome you into Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society. I salute you for your accomplishments. I charge you to explore always for truth and to dedicate yourselves to the cultivation of a well-reasoned life, a prelude to service and honor. This concludes our ceremony. Family and friends, please join us as we welcome the newest members of Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society. Congratulations to you all.